Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and Bobby is going to be joining us shortly. He's working on some technical issues. Um, it is definitely a little early. The NBA slate doesn't start till 8 o'clock, and then there's NFL. But I'm going to just take you on a tour of what I'm up to. I'm going to go through the lineup builds for NBA, and I'm going to try to do for NHL and NFL as well. But at the same time, I am kind of updating. There it is. There's Bobby.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's definitely early,
Yeah.
but I guess what I was gonna do is just it's gonna be my first build. It's gonna literally be my first look at the projections. I mean, I just did the projections, and they're obviously going to change in like an hour and a half probably, and then we'll also maybe just I'll take a quick first look at the showdown slate. I guess you're a little more prepared than I am. So I guess I'll share my screen, I guess, while you go about talking about what you think about the slate, I guess.
No, I'm happy to. Yeah. The NBA slate. So right now there is a lack of value, although we did get some with Zach LaVine being doubtful. So it opened up a little bit more. You have Desonmu, who's 5,300. You have Dalen Terry, who's 3,200. You could take a stab at. You could actually I think you could take a shot with Buzelis, and the other one would be Taylor Horton Tucker, who he's just a little too expensive. Probably not going to him at 4K. But the other one that stands out as value, which is what we always call suspect, is Mike Conley. And I actually like just going a little bit higher to DiVincenzo better. I don't think you need to play Mike Conley tonight. But when Wembanyama is showing up as the third best point per dollar play, that we're probably a little short on value. And the problem is it's really easy to like Wembanyama and Giannis tonight. And it would be nice to have more real value than what we've got currently. But I personally am looking at this as like you're playing probably at least two, probably three Bulls, and then you're deciding on spend ups, mostly between Anthony Edwards, Giannis, and Wemby, who are all different prices. But those are the three main ones I think you're looking out for as far as that goes. And Portland is going to be the low-owned team here. And I think it's worth it in a good pace environment to take a shot on I like Simons the best, but Simons, Ayton, and then we have Shaden Sharp questionable, which could open up more Scoot Henderson. If Shaden Sharp does play, probably too early to play him yet, but I think that you want to try and get overweight on them as a contrarian team. I don't really have a lot of new thoughts since earlier, other than now it seems very clear to play the Bulls with no LaVine, assuming that he is in fact out, which he's anyway, sorry, I just got another important message. But I ran some sims. I'm actually not playing any NBA tonight, but the guys I'm looking at are that's who I'm going for. I'm actually just playing a little bit of football tonight.
It's pretty interesting because I'm running these builds right now. This is like literally the first time I'm looking at them, and I'm not getting much of anything from Chicago. Wait, let me just see. Actually I am, but not. I'm getting so far. I mean, like Giannis, and then of course the Mike Conley, who you just kind of touched on. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, here's some Chicago. So Jalen Smith, Ayo DeSomno, I'd be getting like 35% of, I guess. Dalen Terry, 29%. But it's not as, again, I just ran my stuff, so whatever. Yeah. The guy I'm getting a bunch of is $3,500 Andre Jackson.
Yeah.
Is that like fishy?
It feels like it, but it's weird because of the election and the slates on both nights, you had like everybody playing. And on a slate like this, it can't be that fishy because there's just not enough. I mean, even the value with Dalen Terry is fishy, but because we've seen it be different Bulls guys every night so far, basically without LaVine. The Son was the one who I wouldn't fit. Like, I'm surprised you're not getting like 90% of them. It kind of is confusing to me, actually, because I would just assume you'd plug and play that. I know his price is a little bit higher, but he's 5,300. It's not like he's super value, but it still is value. Andre Jackson has been starting at 3,500. I think you could just start him just based on that. Is there any reason to think, or Andre Jackson is projected to start tonight instead of Gary Trent? So that's the reason why he's showing up the way he is.
Let's take a look at these Chicago projections here. Let's see if they make any, if I'm missing something here. So it looks as though if I just sorted them by, I guess, I don't want to sort these by value, I suppose. The only one I'm even getting more like 5x on is Desomnu. And that's barely.
That's all you're going to see tonight so far.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There's just nobody else who's even 5xing hardly,
I see. Okay. Yeah, so Jalen Smith, I guess I'd be getting a lot of. I guess that's true. But I'm getting to like you said, because Wembanyama and Giannis, their just raw point projection are so high,
right?
That you got to try to get that, even if you have to eat some crappy value, a little bit lower down the list.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I like the Jalen Smith play better than I do the Dalen Terry. Not to say that it could be Dalen Terry night or whatever, but Jalen Smith, there's like logic here. You have Vucevic on a back-to-back, which historically is not his best strength. You're playing a team that plays like three guys who play center in general. So you're going to see some minutes with Vucevic and Jalen Smith out there. I just think it makes a lot of sense to go for that one. And the other one I like is the Buzelis. I'm not saying he'll have as good a night as he did last night, but he's a flat 3K coming off of 31 fantasy points in basically the exact same situation. So I would like to get to that person.
How do you spell his name?
Demonis Buzelis. Modest Buzelis. B-U-Z-E-L.
Yeah, I not only have him with like a 9-point projection, but also like 4% ownership. So
yeah, that's interesting because like SaberSim has him at what do they have him? They have him at a 12-point projection.
Yeah, I got him. Yeah, 11.78. But yeah, I don't have him as high. So hey, if you like him,
I just think it's worth we so two games ago when this happened, it was Taylor Horton-Tucker and Desonmu completely smashed with at 3K. But now Taylor Horton-Tucker is more expensive, and Buzelis smashed last night. I don't see why he couldn't play again 20 some odd minutes. He's a gunner. He'll take some shots, and that's your best way of getting there. But the fact that people aren't playing him, I think that's just a sharper way to go about it. Because the first night, Julian Phillips was like 40% owned, and he wasn't the guy. So he hasn't been the guy yet either. But he's another one that I would circle into the mix, and those would be the value guys. I'd be just trying to take shots on them. I wouldn't play those guys together, but I do think I could play like Jalen Smith and Buzelis together if you wanted to. But overall, I think you want to try to get like one of the Bulls value pieces along with the Sunmu. And that would be like to me, even in a cash game, I think Dalen Terry is the one that will project the best, but it definitely doesn't have to be Dalen Terry, although he is probably going to be the first or second guy off the bench.
Well, clearly, clearly the projection is going to have to do some updating between now and then. We'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah, and we've still got Giannis is still questionable, and he didn't play yesterday, so there's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The other ones like the Utah stuff, both Clarkson and Markkanen, who were questionable, are playing or they're probable as of right now, and Portland we have the questionable with Shaedon Sharpe, which I actually think is pretty relevant, but not again. You're not going to find that screaming value at like 3K because of it. You're gonna find some other plays that make sense. Like what's his name? Like Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons will get a boost. Ayton will get a boost and whatnot. But the main one is honestly it's Giannis. And by the way, maybe he is going to sit out. I don't know what to expect from him. The team is 1-6. They need to win games. Even against Utah, though, they're only an 8.5-point favorite at home, and Utah's been basically the worst team in the NBA, or one of the worst. It's weird to me that they're only 8.5-point favorites, and it makes me think that there's a better chance of him not playing. I thought they'd be like 12-point favorites, so that's just my take.
For what, Milwaukee?
Yeah, they're playing at home. I know it's a back-to-back, but Utah is just the worst. And
Milwaukee might be the worst. No.
Okay. It's. I mean, and also their losses, like they lost a game they lost 2 games to the Cavs. They could have won, and the Cavs have been the best team in the NBA thus far. Although they finally got beat last night. And how about my guy Westbrook last night? Just crushing again like the old days. And And the Nuggets are looking pretty good right now. Actually, they're not good. They're not looking good, but they beat OKC last night, they're the first team to do it. So.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of a comment of a tweet I made, and I commented to you about this like 4 years ago. There was one of the basketball trainers that used to help out with my AAU teams. He used to work for the Thunder back in the day, and he was telling me that he used to work out Westbrook, and my friend was just completely dead exhausted when he was done. Like Westbrook would not like ever stop. Like he'd have to like go, like he'd have to, the trainer would have to like take a break, like, and like a different trainer would have to come in to like keep up with him. And, as Greg, Ehrenberg pointed out, I mean, like the guy just every freaking possession is nonstop. I mean, every single possession. And he, it's, and listen, these are all real professional athletes, and probably 90% of them have kind of like that incredible like cardio like that.
Yeah.
But maybe like 2% of them actually bring it to the court all the time.
Right. And play that way all the time. I mean, he was doing it when he was playing 40 minutes a game. That's crazy. It never changed for him.
I mean, whatever his combination of diet, exercise, and genetics is, it's like
he does these workouts where he plays games, like he plays virtual basketball games in the sand in the off season. He plays on the beach. And that's like one of the things he attributes to. But they go for like 4 hour sheets. He's running back and up and down what would be the court in the sand. And so to him, he's like, the court feels a lot easier after doing that on the sand.
Yeah, I actually had a pretty good day in the basketball. I speak to you yesterday. I got like third in one of the single entries or whatever. And I had like all the Westbrook, whatever. And he did really great. Imagine if they actually let him close.
He closed last night?
I don't think he did.
He did. I'm pretty sure he did. He may not have been like the last. Oh no, he did. He came out. They defense for offense for defense substituted in the last minute only. But he played great. I mean, he actually played a great real life game. He shot maybe was 10 of 16, 3 of 4 from 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
He had a good, really, really good real life. Nice to see him shooting at least once. That's the thing, man. The NBA guys love him too, and the things you said, I mean, those kind of things get around, and you want a guy who works like that working for you, even if, there's certainly flaws in his game and people can criticize, but he is truly like a unique individual to be able to go like that. It's amazing.
That was a good, good game in Denver too. In general,
that was the game. Yeah, that was a great game. Terrific. Now, of course, I'm somewhat of a Denver fan because I go wherever Westbrook goes. But it is that same intensity in the way that he played that's always sort of stuck with me from first seeing him at UCLA when he was, a 900 recruit and he looked like he weighed about 110 pounds and was just outrunning everybody up and down the court every time. All right. Do you want to talk about your hockey a little bit? Looks like you're doing.
I'm just running this again. Like I just got back. I was out all day, so I'm just fired up the projections. I'm literally just loading my first even look at these lineup projections, these lineups. Did I even? And then I'll have to tweak them a little bit later. But at least this one's only 45 minutes to close, so I probably do have to pay attention to this. Why don't you talk about the NFL a little bit?
Okay, so I'll jump into that because this is actually like I like this NFL. I mean, look, this would be a game that if this game was on Sunday, this would be the game you'd want to get after the most. There's no totals like this, and this is on a Thursday. Baltimore's been lit up through the air, which suits very well what Kansas City's strong at, and Baltimore's been the best offense in football, and Cincinnati's defense hasn't been able to stop people. So it should be a good one. It is a Thursday night game. So I am not as interested in the kicking as I usually talk about on the Thursday night games. I'm very interested in plays like Justice Hill. I'm very interested in Lamar. I'm very interested. I mean, the obvious ones are the ones that are the hardest to fade. Lamar, Chase, Derrick Henry, you could make a case. Although I like the Justice Hill play tonight a little bit. And the one that's interesting for me that stands out is Deontay Johnson. So they just got him in the trade. He only played 18% of the snaps last week. I wish it was like a Sunday to Sunday instead of a Sunday to Thursday because he could have gotten to know the playbook. The coach announced before the last game he wasn't going to play as much. We don't really know where he's going to be, and he's at a price where I still don't think people are going to play him. So he's like one of my interesting contrarian captains. And as I'm looking right now, Justice Hill is by far my highest owned captain. And he's supposed to be 0.5% owned. But I ran and that's just off the Sims. That's not anything I did. That was just what the Sims thought. So I love that idea. I think it's worthwhile to spend down in the captain to try to get exposure to Lamar, Flowers, Chase, and Burrow if you can.
So Deontay Johnson, forgive me, he's on Baltimore?
Deontay Johnson now in Baltimore. Yeah.
So it's got to have a little bit of a downgrade to Flowers, no? I mean,
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No, he had his biggest game of the year so far with Deontay Johnson and Bateman and everybody healthy last week.
I didn't even realize Deontay Johnson played like a full set of whatever. Okay.
Yeah, he had a full Sunday with them. He just played 18% of the snaps, though. He didn't play that much.
Oh, okay.
It's a very speculative play, but it's a speculation I can get in.
Well, what do you think of the Cincinnati receivers, though?
So that's the interesting thing to me is we're all acting like. And first of all, I like Yoshivas as the receiver. He is the one I would, you want. But now all of a sudden, even in the flex, nobody's going to play. Like people played Trevor Irwin on Sunday, which we touched on because he was minimum cost and he's 1,200 this week. People played Trevor Irwin and he did nothing, but he was on the field and no one is going to play him. And I'm not sure that that's right. So he's another spend down that you can get different just in the flex. You don't need to. This is not a captain thing. But like making sure to get over the field on the 3% he's supposed to be owned in the flex. He's 1,200. He's a good value saving guy, and he always has a chance to catch a touchdown. Yoshivas is the logical one, who's also super cheap. And then obviously Chase is very hard to fade in any single way with that Baltimore coverage. But I'm going to try to be underweight the Chase Brown, and I'll have exposure to all these guys. But I actually think that that other than Yoshivas, I think the idea of getting different with Irwin is something I've talked myself into. Burton's going to have like 10 to 15% ownership. You could argue for him as well. I'm happy to be overweight all of these guys and underrate the running game for Chase Brown. And I'm going to be, as much as I like Derrick Henry tonight, I'm probably going to be underweight Derrick Henry and play the Justice Hill instead.
So Gesicki is probably rates to be really popular again.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine fading it. It was okay, let me rephrase. It's the kind of game where he should have a good game, and the last one didn't seem like the kind of game. And by the way, I don't know if he had a target. I don't know if he was on the field even in the first quarter. But then all of a sudden, he just started going nuts because they started running. He was like every passing play, he was getting the ball, basically.
Well, it's what we talked about. I mean, I talked about last week as a kind of a reason to fade him was that he's apparently like a terrible blocker.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not on the field in running plays really. So he's basically on the field for only 60% of the snaps in general. Right. But then when he was in fact on the field, I mean, guy went freaking crazy.
But what's weird is some of the other things I said. Look, he likes to throw the ball to Drew Sample. Drew Sample had a touchdown last week.
He sure did. You know what? Every time that he caught the ball, I thought of when you said that.
Yeah.
That is definitely. That's definitely important.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting. So we just got official word about going back to NBA for a second that Andre Jackson is for sure starting tonight ahead of Gary Trent. I do think it's going to be really hard to fade him with the value that's out there now. I was more skeptical when it was just up in the air, but I'll take that as probably going to be hard to fade him just as a starter at 3,500.
Now, is Lauri Markkanen playing?
Yeah, he's probable.
Okay.
And then so those are the other guys that, again, like the whole passing game. You've got 2,600 Drew Sample, that's reasonable. And then you've got the one who no one's going to play, and that would be assuming that he does in fact suit up tonight. Am I missing something? Why am I not finding him here? That's weird. Tanner Hudson would be there he is. He's at the top. Tanner Hudson would be the other one who you could use as a pivot off of Gesicki, and they're in totally different price tiers. Tanner Hudson 1,600, Gesicki's 6,600. I think that's an interesting way to that way you can use him, but find one of these lower owned cheap guys would be my way to try and play the studs, because I do think I think Lamar's gonna have a big game pretty much no matter what. I think that what's his name? I think that both Flowers and especially Chase are gonna have good games no matter what. Flowers is definitely, you could say, hey, look, there's always a chance that he's not the guy. But if you're not playing Flowers, then you're probably playing Bateman or Johnson. They've got a lot of guys. This team feels like all of a sudden from having too few to feeling a little bit loaded with Deontay Johnson there now. And then there's the former showdown king Aguilar as another potential spend down for Baltimore. And he's not an ideal play in general. I just have the memory of him winning showdowns too many times. It's like the only time he shows up. But he's another one you could certainly consider getting at least.
What is? I mean, there's obviously going to be a follow up here, but what's the total in this game?
52.5.
And what about for Cincinnati?
It's the highest total we've had on a Thursday night game, I think, in years. I don't think we've had a higher one, except for maybe the opening night. But I don't remember ever seeing a 50 plus total, 52 plus total on one of these games. I think if it was Sunday to Sunday, they would probably be in the 55 range. But yeah, Baltimore's a 6-point favorite.
I mean, I don't have much of an opinion on the spread, I guess, except it's kind of hard for me to see how Baltimore punts.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's too square of a take, but Cincinnati hasn't really been able to stop some of the weaker teams, and Baltimore is in full train wreck mode right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they are, but they're desperate. They're playing for their lives. It's in division. It's a game that wouldn't surprise me if you see a weird Bengal result. And we've seen Baltimore just occasionally just sort of lose it for a quarter in games. But it does feel like it's going to be hard for them to get stopped. I agree. I don't see how Cincinnati's supposed to get that many stops here. Somebody made an interesting point on something I was listening to earlier, that if Cincinnati was playing at the Chiefs, the spread would be a lot lower than it would be against Baltimore, which I think is interesting.
I think that's I think that's true.
I think so too.
I think that's true.
Which means that
well, you know what would happen if Baltimore right now played the Chiefs at home? Baltimore would be like a 5-point favorite, and the Chiefs would win outright.
The Chiefs would win by 1 or something.
On some bad call or something
or somebody stepping out of bounds when it looked like they were in and it's called a touchdown and gets reversed.
That's what I was saying, or some bad call I was saying, or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, let me fire up the showdown slate here, and I literally haven't run a single projection for this. Let's see what we get. So you're thinking that we'd be getting a decent amount of Justice Hill?
I'm thinking that Justice Hill would be. I think I'm one. So I did get initially that on my run.
Right.
We ran it. I didn't get as much, but I love it. So I'm gonna stick to taking some shots with it, no matter.
Now,
what.
do you mind? I know the answer already, but you don't mind playing 2 running backs there?
No, I don't. But actually, tonight I think it makes more sense. I think there's so many good options. It's like there's so many guys I like that I just feel a little bit different. So.
Well, I mean, Chase Brown. I mean, he's probably still a good play. No, I mean,
I actually am lower on him tonight than I'll definitely be lower, and that's one way I'm trying, because I like too much of the passing game for me to overweight Chase Brown, and something that Baltimore theoretically and the way they're built should be really good at, which is stopping the run. Chase Brown's also very expensive, and I would rather play Zay Flowers than I would Chase Brown, personally. So that's the way I looked at it. It is annoying because there really isn't a whole lot of competition for him. Travion Williams.
Wow. What is going on here with Sabres? And before I even simmed anything, I'm looking at 30% exposure to Charlie Kolar.
Yeah, I like the Kolar a little.
25% exposure to Keaton Mitchell.
That's because of the thing that I was saying. Well, that's interesting. The Keaton Mitchell is kind of, where is that coming from exactly?
I don't know.
Because he you know what it is? He scored, you know what? He's actually been. Is this? Am I missing? No, this is wrong. He hasn't played this season. That's why. Okay, I was getting a little confused for a second. So I was like, are they really going to take his? Maybe that's possible. Maybe that's a knock on my my Justice Hill take.
How can they phase Hill out? He's been amazing.
I know, but Keaton Mitchell was he could be the guy for somebody. He's basically Keaton Mitchell and Chase Brown are actually I don't know. Last year at this time, you would have taken Keaton Mitchell over Chase Brown. Let's put it that way.
But they're different. What do you mean? But
they're as players, just as talent wise. He's extremely talented. and he's extremely explosive.
What did you say about the Burton?
Burton, I don't remember mentioning.
There's a lot of talk about him today.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to be more popular than he actually. Like even in the flex, they got him at 12%. I just think it makes sense to get overweight the passing game for the Bengals. That's why I'm underweight the running game. That's why I'm underweight Chase Brown, and so be it. Whatever. And Chase Brown very well could do it through the air. It's not like I'm saying this Chase Brown's a bad play. I'm just saying at this ownership, I think it makes sense to take a stand both against T and Gesicki, and and then sort of all the other basically pass catching options for Baltimore, for Cincinnati, would be firmly in play for me.
Yeah, this is the interesting piece when I'm looking at the projections. At least is this Keaton Mitchell versus Justice Hill thing, and then the receivers for the Bengals. I think that's the other interesting piece as well.
Yeah. I like that. So again, I that's why I have to be underweight somebody, right? So if I'm going to play all these guys as speculative plays, I have to be underweight the running game. So I'm underweight Henry, I'm underweight Chase Brown, I'm overweight basically all of the receivers because of that. But Kolar is a legitimate play with no Likely in there. Kolar is. I mean, Kolar already has a 15 fantasy point game when he was their third tight end. Now he's their backup.
Well, that's what it is. There's no Likely. Okay, yeah. That's why he's showing up here. Okay.
Yeah. But even if Likely played, I would be talking about.
Well, what about Andrews? Is he not playing?
No, Andrews is a terrific captain option in my opinion to get contrarian.
So Kolar is the second tight end.
Kolar is the second tight end, yes. But they play two tight ends a lot. They play Likely and Andrews together a lot, and they play Andrews and Kolar and Likely and Kolar. Usually Likely and Kolar, but
so I don't see many like real cheapos here. Like, I mean, guys I never heard of. Like Aguilar, obviously we've heard of. Who is? I got a couple of who is this for you. Now these guys aren't playing, right? You know, Patrick Ricard. I mean, not with Mitchell back, he's not going to get anything, right?
I don't even know if he'll play. I don't think
that's what I mean. Then I'm looking at Tylon Wallace. These are just guys with like sub 1 point projections. Devontae Walker, Justice Hills. Okay. Irwin, you mentioned. Deontay Johnson, you sort of alluded to. Travion Williams. Cheapo.
Travion Williams is the back. He'll be. Yeah. The thing is, I think that Herbert will be available for them tonight.
Herbert too. Yep.
But is he even in the pool?
I'm looking at FanDuel right now.
Oh yeah, he's in the FanDuel pool. Oh no, he's in the pool. Sorry, you know what? He's probably a little too expensive actually. Well,
that's what I mean. I mean, he could end up being like low owned as a result of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's gonna. Yeah, you know what? That's kind of that's an interesting one. So I guess my take is to sort of fade the kickers and the RB1s, play the backup running backs and the cheap receivers.
And that could be like a square take from me. You know, and I was about to say, who would want to play defenses and kickers here? You know,
yeah,
you could play kickers just because kickers always score when there are points scored,
right,
whatever. Right. I just, and maybe that's a sucker. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Maybe you're supposed to play the defenses here, but I just don't see it. I don't know.
And they're both good kickers too, which is a little bit annoying. But I'm going out of my way to program less than going less on Justin Tucker and McPherson. I'm capping them at like 10% ownership, if you know. And again, I might not even get to 10. And I personally think that, like I always say, just never fade Lamar in showdowns, even in the flex. Like, or if he's not, he should be 100%. I actually think there are routes where you don't need to do that tonight, but I'm going to try to I'll probably be a little bit higher than most people on. I mean, again, he's going to be 1,000,000% owned, but I'm talking about having like, do I want him in everything or not? You can definitely make a case against it, but I'm probably going to end up with 95% plus. And Burrow, I think, makes more an interesting play as a captain than he does in the utility.
What now? Why do you say that?
Because I don't think he has to get there. But I do think if he does get there, he can get there in a big way. Like we just saw it on Sunday. He threw 5 touchdown passes on Sunday without throwing one to Jamar Chase. right? I don't think Chase caught one. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Let me double check that.
He might
Chase
have
didn't
caught a
catch one.
2-yarder. No, or was that a different day? Okay.
No, different one. And in fact, Chase has been underperforming statistically, which is all we really care about for DFS.
Right.
So, but it is sort of the nut matchup in a must win and all that stuff against. That's how you beat Baltimore, is to throw the ball.
Did you do at any point in the last couple of days? I've been, I don't know where I've been, but do an NFL preview yet or no?
I was thinking about just doing it tomorrow.
I could do that.
Okay, great.
I could do that. I just I was updating a couple of systems here, so I just actually tested it by using the NFL projections for this weekend. It looks pretty good. I haven't looked yet, but I heard there's like a bunch of running backs you could play.
There's a bunch of running backs because every game, I don't know if it's just my first look, they look pretty trashy.
Okay.
There's like only one game has like higher than like a 46 total.
Wow.
Like, that's weird. And every game surrounding it has like a 50 total. This game, the Dolphins Rams on Monday night, the Lions Texans on Sunday night. FanDuel will be fun. You just stack up the late game and just do your pivoting thing. Your late swapping.
They shipped off the Giants and the Panthers to Germany.
Yeah, good.
Sunday morning, Giants Panthers in Germany.
Get them out of here. It's pretty amazing that.
But said another way, the Giants, a New York football team, is on national television every single day.
I know it's been too crazy, and they're both terrible. Well, the Jets may end up being okay, but I don't think so. Shaden Sharp available to make season debut. So we're getting the news we needed already for basketball. Jalen Smith available. Bradley Beal. Okay, yeah. So basically, there's not a whole lot of Q tags left in the NBA for what it's worth for those of you NBAers. There's Q tags, but they're all probable for the most part. Let me just double check that I'm right about this. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that Andre Jackson's not projecting a little bit better than he is. It's a 17-point projection for a starter is pretty low. All right, let's see. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. Let's see. Jalen Smith just got listed as probable now. Yeah, for once, most of the guys who were listed questionable are playing today. I'm going to take another look at the Bulls, though, too, just while I'm here. I do think the projection's a little bit low on Kobe White, on Giddey. Buzelis has picked up traction since I talked about him. He's looking a lot more popular than he was.
Yeah, we got time. You know what I mean? I'm just so you guys know, I am going to post some updated projections on basketball closer, like in another hour, probably like at 7:30 or so.
Nice.
What is this?
We got Sheets in Bobby mode.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on exactly, but
they love Chase as the captain. I just don't want to play the highest owned captains. I just can't do it if I'm not playing the max number of lineups. I just can't do those kind of plays personally.
Who do you want in the captain?
It keeps forcing Chase into my captain, and I just keep having to lower my exposure to him. And not that I think it's a bad play. I just don't want to play the massive chalk. I feel similarly about Lamar, but at least Lamar's going to have the ball in his hands every time.
So when I ran my first just off the cuff sim here with literally, I didn't even do a projection. I just used the Saber sim projections. I would actually be getting, the most in the captain. It looks like Derrick Henry actually. Then Lamar, Zay Flowers next, I guess.
Yeah, I like that.
Chase, then Chase Brown, Gesicki, a couple of Batemans. Nothing major. And then all this Lamar. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this camera here. I'll have to deal with this. This is so strange.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I like Zay Flowers. Why not? You know, like the only thing is because people won't do it because he and Chase are so similarly priced.
Right.
But in all fairness, he's outperformed Chase. Like,
yeah.
You know. But the first build I made, I wanted to do the Deontay. It's just weird to see Deontay Johnson priced like a wide receiver 4. And that's why I just thought, okay, well, I'll just be different by doing this. Yeah, I've got Flowers, then Chase, then Lamar, then Andrews. Lamar and Andrews together as same as 9%. But I think I'd like to get a little less spread out here. I think Yoshivas is reasonable in sort of playing the strategy that I mentioned before.
Well, so what happened? So wait a minute. So 2 weeks ago, he got a flat 0, right?
Right.
And so we suggested that, you got to play him coming off of the 0, and that made sense. How did he do last week exactly?
He had 1 catch for a touchdown, but he had 3 other end zone targets.
Okay.
So it's actually amazing that Burrow, because outside of Gesicki, like everybody kind of busted for them. And for some reason, he threw 5 touchdowns, but 3 of them were to tight ends, and it was 1 or 2 to Chase Brown. Maybe 2 were to Chase Brown. I don't know where the 5th one came from. But look, I mean, I'm into it. I'm into the little bit lower things, and it's just weird that I'm just pointing out that like it's not like Yoshivas is going to be crazy high owned, but I do think that he like the other guys are going to be like 1%. He's going to be like 20%, And I just think it makes sense to get over on the other guys.
I do think that it's probably wise to not play like Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill together, I guess.
Probably not. That's true.
Yeah.
That would take a very certain kind of script that I don't even know what it is.
I don't even know what that script is.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But I like the idea of speculating on both as captains because it does allow you to do a lot of other things.
That's true.
And
yeah, I don't know what's once again, this camera's so weird. This is kind of rebelling on me just a little bit. Maybe a lot of it. Oh, I know what's happening. I think. Ah, I see.
Like a Zoom thing or something else open? Is that what it is?
I think I see the light here. Let's see. Connecting to my phone now. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just saying, just going through captains. I'm under the field. I'm under and over. I'm under on Chase, over on Flowers, under on Henry, just under on Lamar, over on Mark Andrews, over on Burrows, over on Keaton Mitchell, over on Justice Hill, which doesn't take much. Under on Chase Brown, over on Deontay Johnson, under on Mike Gesicki, over on Yoshivas. And then I had got a Rashad Bateman and a Trenton Irwin. Those are my captains. Okay, let's see.
I think I know what it is, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna try something.
I'm gonna throw out one just quick thought here. They're bringing Sharp in off the bench. We really don't know how many minutes he's going to play. There's no reason to think to over expect him to play much on his first game back. But if nobody's going to play him, shouldn't we take a shot just in case he does get his minutes? Like we've got him at 23 minutes. What if they just come out right away and say, okay, we wouldn't have played him unless he was ready to play 30? I don't know.
Yeah.
We're thinking about it. He is a part of their future though too, so it's tricky.
Okay, so what it's doing is trying to connect to my phone for some reason.
That's weird.
Trying to wonder why that is. Connect to Ultra.
Here, I'll share my thing real quick.
I just turned my phone off.
So I'm a little too spread out, but I just wanted to show real quickly. So this is sort of what I was getting in my builds so far, but I'm going to try and, you know, take a little bit more of a stand, and it's probably going to end up being on Mark Andrews. Let me just turn back. So yeah, he's still tied for my highest owned, but it's probably going to be Mark Andrews. It's probably going to be some Kohler, and it's probably going to be some. I have Deontay Johnson. Well, you know, I like that play, but I like the Kohler idea because it opens up the entire game. And all it takes is just, you know, that 8-point game and to 9-point game. If you can get all the other pieces, it's going to be very low owned. Jalen, Markkinen and Clarkson in. Okay. And then
we knew that, right?
We had them as probable now. So yeah, it's nothing special. Yeah, that's sort of, I kind of like this grouping. I just think it's a little bit too much on certain things. Maybe I'll tick down and try and tighten this up a little bit. Let me run the sim again and see if it makes.
Are you sharing or no?
I thought yeah.
Okay.
I was just showing a quick thing. Let's do the sim again. And it's coming up a lot of 5-1 Baltimore stacks for me, at least when I ran them throughout the day. I'm just going to see where we're at in terms of the stack exposure in a minute. Yeah, they really want me to play. Okay, there we go. I'm higher on the Andrews thing. I'm talking myself into it with no likely. I think we gotta be overweight this a little bit more than we are. They just have a lot of weapons. It feels like it's pretty crazy to say about Baltimore. That for years it was like, who else can you play? But it's only Lamar and Andrews. Now it's like, oh, we've got Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers has become a superstar. You've got Deontay Johnson there now, who will be something. The backup running backs are both really good. That's Zay Flowers though. He's good, man. He makes some mistakes every now and then, but he's just like so hard to tackle in the open field. But his numbers, like, it's bizarre. He like never has like 12 fantasy points. Everything is like either 2 or 22 or to 35, you know.
Hold on. Skip.
All right, I think my mom's going to come over in a minute, so I'm going to probably get out of here pretty soon, and then I'm going to come back and just redo my builds. I'll post in the Discord what I'm doing.
Okay, do me a favor. Hang in there for just a second.
Okay.